Hey guys, my name is Shai, and today I am actually going to do a career and finances reading. It is very rare that I do a reading specifically focusing on career, work, money. But this is definitely the time for it. This is the time for it. This is going to be good. So you can go ahead and pick from the thumbnail if you already were attracted to one of those symbols, the dollar sign, the British pound, or the euro. Those symbols don't really need to mean that much to you. It's more about the energy behind the reading. And I think you can all hear my cat. Sometimes I get questions about like, what is screaming in the background? So the big orange cats are here. Anyway, I will let you pick your card and I will see you in your reading. Card number 1. I happen to glance at the camera at 111. And this reading is for you if you were attracted to the dollar sign on the thumbnail. I do not know what this is. I have not looked at the cards. Neutralize the charge. 5 of activations. So if you don't have any debt, this reading is probably not for you. This reading is about paying off debt, clearing debt. Or, I mean, it doesn't like literally have to be, like credit cards and loans and stuff like that. You could think about this in terms of energetic debt, even karmic debt, but like I kind of doubt that you guys are at this point in your stories walking around with like massive amounts of karmic baggage. This really to me is the financial debt that you're working on clearing. An important part of clearing this debt is going to be actually reframing like what financial debt even is, especially because like I have some experience, guys, with with like credit card debt, right? And there comes so much, right? For some people, there can come so much shame and guilt about it, where you feel like it was really your fault. And of course, there is a certain amount of accountability that has to go along with this, because we spent the money, we did make those choices. However, there's so much of it, like if you're in a situation of financial debt, you know like how it happened. You know how a lot of the time you don't have really any better choices, and it's like life took you in that direction. That was the path you had to walk, and oftentimes you didn't have any choices, right? If you get a big vet bill, what are you going to do? You're going to put it on your credit card, right? Your car breaks down and, you have kids to drive around. You have to get to work. Well, you're going to have to put that on your credit card, right? Stuff like that. That's what happens. That's how it happens, right? It's life happening. And sometimes it's not that, you were really irresponsible. It's that you did the only thing you can do when your back was against the wall. And of course, when you have a string of that, like things like that can happen over many, many years until you end up, the downward spiral, and then wondering how you're ever going to get out of this. So it's about neutralizing that energy. And it actually begins here with neutralizing any kind of shame or guilt that you feel about it. That doesn't mean, that you completely feel that you have no accountability for your choices whatsoever, but you can reframe that and go, well, maybe that wasn't as bad of a choice as I thought, because I had reasons for making that choice. I was doing the best I could do given the circumstances that I was in. And, it's about getting rid of that. There's like this whole kind of existential, like, sticky, nasty, gnarly, goobery, like baggage that comes from being in financial debt, where it's like that is part of the problem here, is right. It's that really like that nasty kind of weight that comes from the guilt and the shame of it, where you want to be kind of neutralizing that and think about this as going like, okay, well, I really went through some stuff. I had some hard years and I did the best that I could given the situation that I was in. And that's okay, right? That's okay. That's okay. And you're probably like already kind of getting to that point, I feel. I actually don't feel like a lot of the despair here. Although many of you have probably been through the despair in the past, but now it's kind of at this point where you're feeling like, okay, like I just have to treat this as like a practical problem that I am taking steps to work through. And this is teaching you something really valuable about balancing energy, right? About balancing energy. And you can even think like, even if for you the debt didn't come about from a kind of downward spiral, it can kind of come about from like, and it will depend like what country you live in and stuff, but like student debt, right? Taking out a bunch of loans in order, like, and that's because you consciously took on a bunch of debt because you were trying to build your future, right? Borrowing like your future money so that you could even get to that point where you could have future money. Or something like taking out a loan to start a business. It's like you couldn't grow the business without taking out the business loan. And then of course it can become difficult to pay back that loan. But it's like you took it out with the intention of trying to build something, right? And it's all part of how that energy, like the financial energy, which is just a representation of like energy, gets moved around through, not through so much space, but through time, right? You're moving energy around through time. And that's fine. That is a function that you can utilize. You can do that. So we want to be looking at financial debt as a kind of neutral thing. And we just want to be dealing with it as best we can. And picking up this deck and the devil's on the bottom. I see this not as this kind of dark and controlling temptation energy. I see this as the energy of someone who has been, this is Capricorn energy, right? This is Saturn energy, but that is about building your future. This is about building your future. The Nine of Swords. So that's the anxiety. However, again, I don't actually like I really feel like you guys are at such a pivotal point here, because even though all of the kind of lower frequencies of this experience, like you've lived through them, right? You've lived through them. You've been through the despair, you've been through the anxiety, you've been through the sleepless nights, you've been through the shame and the guilt and all of that. But I don't feel like that's really where you are now. And that's a really good sign, because it means you're getting to the top of this process. You're getting to the top of this spiral, like you're spiraling back up. And because the Nine of Swords doesn't have to be this anxiety and nightmares, the Nine of Swords can be this moment where you take where you kind of take that ninth sword and you stab it into the ground and you say, fuck this shit. Like, I have done it. I am here. I have been through all of this and I am still here. I am still alive. I am still, like, I'm still doing it, right? And I think that's also part of what you have learned. Like, you've really learned what you can actually survive through, right? You've learned what you can survive. You've learned what doesn't actually break you, right? You've learned about some of the worst case scenarios, and you've learned that maybe they weren't as worst case as you might have originally conceived of, because look, they didn't destroy you. They didn't kill you. They didn't break you. They may have stressed you and overwhelmed you, but now you're kind of planting your foot and saying, I am still here, right? And like, and that is so good, because this is really, like, I can feel you guys moving beyond. You're like cresting the wave, right? You're like cresting the wave. You're cresting the wave. And I mean, maybe like some of you might already really, like, you know what I mean by you're cresting the wave, right? You might already be living that. You might really be cresting that wave, like, really obviously. Others of you might still be wondering, like, I don't know how I'm going to get myself out of this one, right? I'm in a hole and I need to dig myself out of it and I don't understand how. But what I can tell you is like the feeling of your energy here is this energy of cresting the wave. So that's where you're at, like whether you know it or not. And the Two of Wands is literally moving into your new world. Okay, literally moving into your new world. So let me try and get some more clarity on how are you going to do this, right? What is your path forward for paying off the debt or getting the debt canceled, even getting debt clear, right? Clearing the debt, whether that is through laboriously paying it back. But what I would say is it depends on the nature of your debt. It depends on your exact situation, but there is always the chance that the debt might just get cleared in a mysterious type of way. And maybe it's not all of the debt, but maybe one bill. It's like if you have bills that, you know, and I know that sometimes people end up with delinquent bills on their credit report because it was like they never should have been billed that in the first place. It was like something that it's like they were the victim of some type of scam or a mistaken bill or some type of, you know, just something stupid that shouldn't have happened. And it's like, well, I'm not going to pay that. I can't pay that. And then it goes on their credit report. And it's like, sometimes those things can get cleared in mysterious ways, right? Sometimes you might have to get a lawyer to do that. Sometimes you might just have to negotiate with like a collections agency. Sometimes you can negotiate with the collections agency to, you know, pay it off for a small amount or get it cleared. Sometimes you can even get debt forgiven, depending on what it is, right? These things are all things that happen. So don't be afraid to fight for this if it's something where that applies, right? And that won't be everything, but there are certain types of debt that you might be able to fight to get it reduced, cleared, or eliminated in some type of easier way. So don't be concerned. Or don't hesitate to fight for it, right? That might actually, okay. There's really like a Uranian energy here. And I'm actually I'm actually filming this on the day that Venus is conjunct Uranus in 29 degrees Taurus. And so like, for those of you who don't really care about astrology, what that means is the background weather of right now, and this is a timeless reading, so, you know, just take this as some background energy. But the energy for right now is that the way is being made, right? The way is being cleared. Even if this is something that has been massively overdue, even if this is something that, like, perhaps before you couldn't fight it. Perhaps before there was nothing you can do about it. Perhaps before, you know, you made like 24 phone calls and nothing worked, right? Give it one more try today, right? Like, it's like, don't just pay that bill without giving it one more try, right? If you have some kind of bill that you've been trying to deal with and get rid of, give it one more try at least, because today maybe something will be different. Today, the energy has shifted. Today, it's Venus conjunct Uranus. The way is being cleared, right? That can really clear this kind of stuff up. So don't be afraid to give that a try. But that's not going to be the only solution here. There's going to be because you're also preparing to generate more wealth, because that is the actual long-term solution here, right? There's a lot of kind of messaging I see on the internet about how, you know, we're all in debt because we have Netflix subscriptions and, you know, we buy lattes at Starbucks, and this whole thing about cancel your subscriptions, don't buy coffee, right? It's kind of this idea of budgeting your way out of debt. And I mean, if you are spending like just huge amounts of money that you don't have on stuff, well, I mean, that could apply to that person, but that's not really what I see most people are in. For most people, their situation is, despite the fact that they are working and that they are doing everything that they reasonably can to bring in like a living wage, the living wage just simply isn't enough. And then life keeps happening, right? The vet bill, the car breaks down, you have to move, this shit happens, that shit happens. And next thing you know, it's just, you can't stay on top of this snowball, even though like, right? Even though it's like you've been doing everything you reasonably could, but all this shit just happened. So that's the situation that most people are in. And in that case, you know, canceling Netflix and making your coffee at home, that's not really going to get you out of the debt. That's not, that you can't really budget your way out of this kind of situation, right? It's like whoever gives that advice, they're talking to very specific types of people who are like massively spending unreasonable amounts of money over budget. But that's not what that's not the reality that most people are living in, right? Most people are doing the best that they can, and there's just this mismatch, right? The amount of money that's coming in, even though they're working and doing everything, normally reasonable, life is just too expensive for the amount of money that's coming in, right? So the longer term solution here isn't to really budget your way out. It's actually to get up into a higher income bracket, essentially. And I could talk about that here, but that's going to be a different thing for each of you. So the next two readings, I don't know what they're going to be about, but I am going to suspect that they will talk more about generating the income, right? Generating income, how that's going to go for you. So I'm going to leave that open-ended for now because I wanted these readings to be a little bit shorter. I say that every time and they never are, but maybe this one will. So you guys, you are at this pivot point. You are cresting the wave where you either already are paying off the debt or you are about to come into that capacity. And it is this feeling of a kind of final change because you are concluding the energy work that you have been doing that the debt was actually helping you work through. And the way is being cleared, and like the solution is right in front of you. And I mean, right in front of you, maybe you won't see what this is, today. Maybe you won't see it for a few months still, but it is in the near future, right? It is in the near future. And I feel like it could be very close. It could be you're like right under your nose. So your longer term solution will be not budgeting your way out, but increasing your harvest, right? Increasing your harvest. Let me put it that way. So I'm going to leave the details to that for the future two readings. So hang in there, guys. We got this. If anybody is still here from the first reading, I just looked at the bottom of the deck as I was cleaning up here. The tower was at the bottom. So that means to me two things. Like the bottom energy for me, this tower is you had many tower moments in the past, right? Those are the kind of situations that put you into debt. The vet bill and the car breaking down and dental bills and blah, 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 right? Those tower moments, those crises, right? The crises that put you into debt. But they're actually showing me in my head an upside down tower. And so the higher frequencies of this tower energy and what I see coming through for you and all of us is actually tower moments that now kind of clear the way, right? The tower moment, instead of being this breakdown, it's the inversion of the tower moment, and it is the breakthrough. It is the clearing of the way. It's the tower moments that clear the way, right? The tower moments that clear the way. And they can be very subtle and very easy. And I will tell you guys that my husband and I, we have been fighting a medical bill that was just incorrect. Like, we shouldn't have had this medical bill. It was a completely just wrong bill. And it was like all of these phone calls, and we couldn't get it resolved. And today we got the final notice on this bill. And my husband made one phone call, and he was getting pretty pissed off, right? Like, and I thought I was going to be listening to a screaming match on the phone, and I was like, how are we gonna, like, what do you need to do to like get this fixed, right? And the lady on the phone put us on hold for 2 minutes, and then she came back and said, "Oh yeah, it's been cleared." And we were like, "What? Why did this take so long?" So we call that a win, right? We call that a win. That's the kind of inverse tower moment. It was like the undoing of the crisis, okay? The undoing of the crisis by everything kind of like sucking backwards in reverse. It's a bit silly, but yeah. Okay, so that is the conclusion of the postscript for reading number 1. Okay, reading number 2. I want to get some of these other tarot cards out first. Ooh, Judgment. So something is hidden from you. The Lover's in reverse. the fact that I haven't wanted to flip this card up yet. Something is hidden for you, hidden from you, but hidden for you. Did you hear what I said? I said hidden for you. It's been hidden for you like a buried treasure. X marks the spot. Okay. X marks the spot of the buried treasure. And the 10 of Wands, the burden being the harvest, right? You don't even know what you have been harvesting. You have been carrying a burden, right? You've been carrying a burden and you don't even know like what you've actually harvested. Imagine if you were literally bringing in the harvest and you were harvesting like hay or something, right? Something like turnips, something pretty low in value. And then as you were kind of going through the hay, the pile of hay, or like the barrel of turnips, I don't know, I've never harvested turnips. You find like a brick of gold. Okay, that's the feeling here. So this is about, it's about your career, but sort of, it's about a creative career, a creative breakthrough. It is about something you have been developing inside of yourself, and it's like you didn't even know it. And maybe sometimes it had even felt like a burden. So, and this, it's like this does actually come from you, but there's even a potential here for it to come from an external source. And the example they're showing me is like, imagine one of your kids became so successful and so wealthy that they bought you a house, right? And of course, I feel like, I mean, as a parent, right, for me, I wouldn't really feel comfortable if my son bought me a house, because I'd feel like, well, he should be using that money for himself and for his children, right? Like, not for me. But there is a certain point where perhaps if my son had so much wealth, okay, yeah, I could live in the house you bought me, right? There's a point where it actually makes sense. There's a point where it actually feels like something I could accept. And everybody's feeling on that, like, you know, different cultures have different perspectives on that. And everybody's individual feeling on that would be different. But there is a point where you can actually accept this gift, right? There is a point where you can actually accept this gift. And I think the reason why the example of the, like, you know, your children bringing you this gift comes up, because that comes from you, right? That comes from you in a roundabout kind of way. So of course, this isn't going to be like everybody's kids buying them something. It's going to be about that is a good analogy though, because this is about some kind of something that you have created, right? Something that you have been creating, but perhaps you haven't. There is a feeling of it's hidden from you. It's hidden from you. But there's something that you have been creating, okay? There's something that you have been creating, and it is about to, now they're showing me a boomerang. It's about to come back around and be the breakthrough, right? Wings of Integrity, 7 of Activations. I was trying to remember if activations in this deck is swords or wands. It's swords. It's swords. So, Wings of Integrity. You know how the 7 of Swords is often seen as that kind of deceptive energy? Even though I don't necessarily read the 7 of Swords that way, but that is a common, you know, interpretation that is passed around. But this is literally, can you see on the card? Wings of Integrity. There is not a single deception here. This is you rising into your higher potential on the wings of your own integrity. And by integrity, you know, that word, the way people use the word integrity, they mean it to mean like somebody who is morally upright and who's very ethical and who's somebody who doesn't lie, who doesn't deceive, right? Somebody who's just doing everything properly, morally and ethically speaking. So, I mean, yes, that is all relevant here. But when I think integrity, I think more of like the integrity of a substance. Like think of like a beam of steel or something. It has to have like a high integrity. Like the material has to be of a high integrity in order to bear a strong load, right? It has to be, I don't know if pure is the right word, but we'll go with that, right? It has to be integrated, right? To play on that word a little bit. It has to be integrated. So to me, this is about your authenticity and what you have been authentically creating. And this is even, for somebody, this could be about how perhaps you've even turned down opportunities for income because you felt it went against your integrity. But of course, it doesn't need to mean that, you know, a simple example would be you could have made money on insider trading, but you knew that was illegal, so you didn't do it. Right? But this could also be you were perhaps offered a job, but it was just a type of job that, even though it was good pay, even though that you could have done the job, you could have done the work, but you just didn't want to work in that type of field. You just didn't want to work in the bank anymore. You didn't want the corporate career anymore. You didn't want to be a teacher anymore. You just didn't want to do it anymore because you felt like it was against your essence. You felt like it wasn't authentic to you. If you felt like it wasn't allowing you to thrive. And so you turn down those kind of opportunities, and then you're thinking like, ugh, life is hard, right? Life is hard when you are authentic. Life is hard when you choose your own essence. Life is hard for a while, right? Life is hard for a while because you have to turn down the things that aren't true reflections of your own essence. So perhaps you have been doing that. You've been turning down things that are not true reflections of your own essence. And then you sometimes end up feeling like, okay, but now I'm sitting here, I'm in my integrity, I'm in my authenticity, I am following my intuition and my instincts, and I'm following my destiny to the best of my ability. And that can feel like that can be part of the burden that you've carried, right? Choosing your own authenticity, or choosing yourself even. For some people, even choosing your own independence, choosing your own self, that can create burdens, right? It can create burdens. But remember, all burdens are temporary. And for you here with the 10 of Wands, I mean, literally paired up with Judgment and these wings of integrity, you're going to find the harvest inside of the burden. You're going to put the burden down and realize what you have harvested. And there is definitely something, this is still hidden from you, but not for much longer. Right? It is still hidden from you, but not for much longer. And I feel like this reading is kind of running out for 3 months, but it depends for everybody. Some people could even get like a synchronicity later this day. Some people could literally within hours of seeing this video, things could start clicking and falling into place where you start to understand where this is taking you. Others, there could still be a little bit of a delay, but bam, 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 everything is kind of falling and cascading into place, where the egg you have been sitting on finally hatches, where the creative project you have been working on is finally recognized or becomes something you can monetize, where it bears fruit. If you have been working on establishing a business, it finally becomes financially viable. Like you start getting those orders, or you start making, if you have a goal for how much money you want to make per month on your business, you finally start hitting that goal, right? Things start shifting, you get the harvest, and it comes from that whatever you have created with your own authenticity. Whatever you have created with your own authenticity, because the gestation period for this is nearing the end. And that's why the timing isn't exact for everybody. It's just, not all babies gestate for the exact same number of days. And same thing with whatever you have been working on or building or birthing here. It's not the same amount of days for everyone. It is a different timing. So they're like, don't put it to bed yet. Don't put it to bed yet. And I feel like you... There's this feeling of like, I hear someone saying like, yeah, Shai, I know, I'm not giving up on this one. Like, not this one. Because perhaps there are other things that you have given up on in the past, like other jobs you've quit in the past, creative projects or businesses that you gave up on in the past just because they just weren't panning out and you weren't feeling it anymore. But this one feels different, right? This project, this goal, this thing you are building, it feels different, and you have that feeling of like, this has to work. Like, this has to work. I have to make this work. But it's not out of that feeling of desperation. It's not that feeling of I have to make this work because of like I need to pay the bills. It's this feeling of I have to make this work. Like, this has to work because that's like a fact. It's this feeling of deep down in your bones, you know that this is your path. And because this is your path, because this is why you are here, because this is your destiny, that's why it has to work. It is like inevitable that this does work. So what you are doing here is you are essentially aligning with the timing, right? You're aligning with the timing. And the only thing for you to do here, like literally the only thing for you to do here is keep focusing back in on your authenticity and your integrity. This is about your authenticity, your integrity, and your instincts, okay? That's what this is about. That's what will get you there. Believe in yourself and your gut instincts so irrationally because that's what it's going to take, at least for some of you, right? A totally irrational belief in your own gut instincts. That's what it's going to take. Because there will actually be something almost irrational. Why can't I talk today? There is something almost irrational. Wow. Does that mean something to someone? Irrational? I don't know. There is something illogical about this. And that's why it will work. That's why it will work. It's very Uranian, okay? So look for perhaps how Uranus is transiting your chart right now, or look at your natal Uranus. And somebody specifically needs to look at, you might look at your birth chart and you might think, oh, Uranus is just kind of chilling in my chart. It's not really doing anything. It's not conjunct anything. But look for lesser known aspects. Like perhaps it's something just like Uranus is square to one of your inner planets, right? Or trine or something like that, or even a sextile. Those things are significant. Or it could even be you have a Uranus aspecting an asteroid, perhaps conjunct an asteroid, and you've never looked at your asteroid placements. Like for somebody, there's going to be gold to be found by looking into your birth chart and really understanding your own Uranus placement, or perhaps, the transiting Uranus. And that's because I say like Uranus is coming through here to open up the way, and through illogical channels. And it's not that they actually are illogical, it's that they're just going to seem so unlikely to the human mind that they will seem illogical, right? They will seem illogical to the human mind because they can seem so unlikely. But that's what's going to blast this open here. And you can also look at your Gemini placements, or if you have no Gemini placements, look at where that is in your chart, what house that's in, because Uranus is about to move into Gemini, and that is going to be a massive cultural shift. And for those of you with Gemini placements, it will be a massive personal shift as well. So, and especially with Uranus moving out of Taurus, that is actually the conclusion of for the last 7 or 8 years or so. Uranus has been destabilizing Taurus, which is the sign of our material stability. So that is concluding, and now we have a new awakening to the way my guides are saying it is Uranus is moving into Gemini to awaken the ethereal mind. Awaken the ethereal mind, whatever that means. we could interpret that many ways. Uranus is here to awaken the ethereal mind. So yeah, I'm getting so many little bits of data like scattered all over the place. This is like scatter plot energy. Lots of scatter plot energy. Oh, let me get a couple more cards here. Angel of Light, 9 of activations. That's funny. That would be the 9 of Swords, and the 9 of Swords came out in the previous reading. And I was determined to interpret that in its highest expression, where you are, well, literally this is subtexted as the Angel of Light, right? The Angel of Light. Rainforest with the 10 of Earth, guardians under this harvest. Okay, let me see if I can bring some clarity to this reading, because it's been quite scattered. What is this? How can I articulate this clearly? I'm seeing a kind of like an old-fashioned like wooden barrel, and there's something about that word barrel. Okay, so there's like a barrel, like what we might, put stuff in. But I heard something yesterday about a mineral. Beryl is a mineral. I don't remember what, and it's something to do with emeralds. I don't know what that is, and I meant to look it up actually. Something about diamonds are made of carbon and emeralds are made of beryl. Don't quote me on that. That was something I kind of half heard and was like, oh, I want to look that up because I don't really know anything about gemstones or minerals, right? Geology is like not my thing. So I don't know what that might mean to someone, but with this emerald energy, okay? Emerald energy, this green rainforest energy. And so, but anyway, they were showing me a barrel, as in a wooden barrel. And I'm seeing like a bunch of pebbles are inside of the barrel and it's rolling along. Like you've been pushing this barrel full of pebbles and they're like rolling around inside. I don't know what that means. That's a strange image. Oh, but then like now something comes along. You didn't, either you didn't know what was in the barrel, or you thought the barrel was full of rocks, but then something comes along, like, I don't know, maybe somebody comes along and smashes the barrel, or maybe it just gets so old that it finally decays and busts open. At any rate, something happens, right? Something happens, and the barrel busts open, and like a bunch of diamonds and emeralds pour out. And you're like, oh my God, I've been like laboriously pushing around this burden. I've been laboriously pushing around this like beastly energy. I don't know what that means. It's like beastly energy. Someone's calling it a beastly energy. And then all these gemstones come out, like valuable gemstones. That's the burden turning into the harvest. And it's interesting, though, how it's this thing that you have been creating, right? This child, this energetic child, your brain child, the project that is your baby. In some ways, it has been quite a burden to you, right? Your brainchild baby has been quite a burden to you. Because think about the energy that you sunk into it. This is energy and time that you could have put into something else. So it's in that sense, it's been a burden to you. And perhaps you never knew if it was going to bear fruit. You never knew if it was going to make any money. And you never knew if it would be recognized or appreciated by anyone other than like, a couple of people. But really the image here is what I can show you is the barrel is about to burst open and all of the diamonds and emeralds are about to pour out of it. And for somebody, rubies. Now I'm seeing like red rubies as well. But they're like juicy red rubies, like a red ruby grapefruit. A red ruby grapefruit. Oh, and we have a kitty cat visitor here. Mishka, you want to say hello? Everybody would love to see you. Well, she's not much for the spotlight. Come here. No? I guess she says not today. So, yes. Your creative career or business breakthrough is nigh. And you're about to see the riches that you have been cultivating within. Yeah, so I'm sending you guys so much love and light, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Okay, card number 3. I was trying to remember if on my thumbnail this was the pound sign or the euro. This should card reading number 3 should be the euro. I forgot to mention it for the second one, but that's okay. Was just an icon to create context for the reading. What do we have here? The Radiant Feminine, Priestess of Light Codes. The Radiant Feminine. The Radiant Feminine. That's why we have Mishka here. Princess Mishka. Princess Mishka Alexandra. That's her name. Princess Mishka Alexandra. The Radiant Feminine. Yes, so beautiful. My kitty cat here, she is one of the most self-possessed beings I have ever known. Self-possessed, that is how I would describe her. Completely self-possessed, like... Wow. And so you guys have the Radiant Feminine, and then you have it coming out the King of Swords. What beautifully balanced energy. If you identify as a Radiant Feminine and you have been walking alone and you are seeking masculine companionship, there he is. What that has to do with a career or finances reading? Could be a few different things. I mean, this certainly does not have to be romantic, right? This could easily be a business partnership. Let's see. 4 of Pentacles. What is this about? Ace of Cups. Reaching. This is like, this Ace of Cups is interesting to me because it's this energy of like, look at the art, right? It's not just this chalice. It's not just this cup that is sitting there. This is like a hand is reaching out, right? There's a hand reaching out. And I've actually, imagery of a hand has been coming up for me. And I actually never really thought to think about it until right this second. I don't know if any of you watch Modern Family, but I just now got into Modern Family, and for those of you who know what I'm talking about, Mitch and Cam in their house, they have a picture in the background, like on their wall, of a hand. It's like a picture of a hand. And I don't know what it is about that picture, but I find it really compelling, but it also kind of bugs me. And it's like a right hand. I don't know. And so there's this energy, this hand reaching out. Is it reaching out to make a connection? Is it reaching out to receive? I'd say yes. The answer is yes. Like if you're asking a question, is it this or is it that? The answer is yes. Okay. And right now, actually, so Mishka, the black cat that you just met, she is inside my room here. The cat that you can hear is my male cat. He is on the other side of the door, and he's the one making the noise. And they are talking to each other through the door. Four of Swords. Of rest and healing. And Ace of Pentacles. I'm not taking reversals today. Just why? I'm not doing it. And here we have the hand that has reached. I mean, this Ace of Pentacles. The hand. Is this hand offering this pentacle or this globe of light? Or this pot of earth? Right? Or this pot of gold? Is the hand offering it or is the hand receiving it? That either or question keeps coming up here. And so we have two fours, right? The Four of Pentacles, which is creating this stability, and the Four of Swords, which is creating this healing and this energy of giving and receiving, and the masculine and the feminine. So, this is like, so you guys have had in your, not just in this life, but in your like incarnational history, you have had a imbalance between your energy of giving and receiving. And I'm willing to bet here that probably for all of you, you have been giving for you isn't so much of a problem, although sometimes you have maybe not had the means to give as much as you would like, and you have perhaps felt guilty about not giving more, and you have maybe sometimes given more than you should. But there's this feeling here of some type of resistance around receiving. And I don't really want to get into the whole, like open up to receive feminine spiel, because I think we've all heard that. We're all aware of that. And we have explored that. Line of thought. And so I don't really want to get into all of that. But what this, okay, I'm going to give you the grounded example here of this energy is, I feel like this example, it came up recently in a reading. I don't remember if that was a reading I put onto YouTube or what, but there was an example of essentially somebody receiving an offer of marriage from a much wealthier partner, right? And that can bring up concerns about, well, can I really do that? Can I accept that kind of wealth from someone? Can I just allow someone else? Like, can I allow my spouse to be my source of income? Can I just allow that? It can bring up a lot of strange feelings, right? And it can bring up feelings of, am I really worth that? Is it really fair? Can I just like not work and live off this other person's money, right? That can be a very strange thing. It can be a very strange thing, especially if you've been independent for so long. It can be really strange to think that, is it really okay to just do that? Is it really fair to just receive, to just accept somebody else's money as my own, essentially, right? To accept somebody else's money as my own. And that is essentially, this is like the culmination of all the work you have been doing around, the whole feminine paradigm of being able to receive. And really what you've unlocked here is being able to perceive the bigger picture, where like when you are wedded, and this wedded energy doesn't have to be literally a marriage. It doesn't have to be romantic, but it is a coming together of two partners in some way, shape, or form. This even could be a relationship between like you and your clients, right? You and a group, you and a collective, like you and your customers. It's like a, however the energy circulates here. This is about allowing energy to circulate. And when you fully understand that you are wedded in some sense to this other energy. You are one in some sense with this other energy. You don't even need to receive their finances, receive their money, because their money is simply yours, right? If you were to marry someone who is rich, well, now their money is yours, right? And I don't mean in the sense of now you're just going to spend like literally every last penny however you want. It's that you have every right to start thinking about that money as yours, because if both parties entered that partnership with the complete and honest understanding that, you know, we are going to be truly wedded, then and you know, and this partnership is happening in its highest expression, in its highest ideal, then the wealthy partner would be like, you know, you bring so much to my life, you bring so much to the table, like, I don't really care about my money. I'm just as happy to have the money that I have. Now it's our money because, you know, you are enriching my life so much. That's what the wealthy partner would say, right? And guys, my cat, Mishka, the one you just met, she is freaking out in a way that I cannot even describe. She is the chillest cat of all time. And right now you can hear her scrabbling and running all over the room. She just like dug a bunch of stuff out of the closet and she's running up inside of my cupboards. And she literally never does this. It's so strange. So what I can tell you is she is absolutely picking up on whatever energy you guys are bringing to the table here. And I mean that in a good way, because my cats, they sense energy, and they sense the energy when I'm doing a reading, and they pick up on things. And like, I literally can like use I can watch my cats to see how they are reacting. And she is sensing something here. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. She sees something I can't see, right? She is seeing something I cannot see. Okay, she seems to be chilling out. So what was I saying? So this isn't even really about receiving. It is about entering a union or partnership in some way, shape, or form where it expands your pool of resources like exponentially, almost like overnight, essentially. Like literally, you know, you wake up in the morning and you're just you, right, with your like $2 in your bank account, and then that day you get married and now you're on the bank account and all the other accounts that have all the money in it. Like that literally happens overnight. It's that type of energy, right? It's that type of energy. Obviously, it's not going to be that type of fairy tale wedding for everyone, but that could be happening for someone, and how cool would that be, right? For others of you, think about what kind of contracts would open up for you, right? Is this entering into a contract with someone, a business partnership, or a, you know, for like a musician, this would be like getting a record deal. For a writer, this would be getting that agent, or that, you know, getting that book deal, getting the book deal. For an artist, this would be, you know, finding that patron or finding that gallery that is going to showcase your work, and then finding the people who, like, your audience, right? Finding your audience. For someone who wants a career in social media, this would be, you know, getting your millions and zillions of followers and being able to monetize those followers. And it's about being able to come into union. And I think that's the end of the reading. That's the best I can do to articulate this. I will leave you, though, with the imagery of the hand. And I am feeling that this is about the right hand, which is normally considered to be the giving hand. But for some people, the right hand is the receiving hand. I'm not really sure how much I care about the distinction. Think about handshakes. Think about how handshakes are bridges. Think about an open hand versus a palm down hand versus a fist versus various finger shapes you could make. Think about what you can do with your hands. Think about you can speak with your hands. Think about what you can receive with your hands. Palm chakras, right? This is about making, and this is about connecting. And it's something about making something in order to connect with someone, but also that connection allowing you to create something even greater. It's like the musician writes the album to get the record deal, and then, you know, the producers help the musician to polish and market and publish the record and put it out there, right? That's the kind of process that happens. You make something, you use what you make to come into union, and then that union allows you to enter this next step. And so it's like, is this reading, has it been about finances or has it been about career? Really, it's been about both, but really it's about creating, coming into union. I would say unionizing, but that word has specific connotations. So really it's about creation and union, and then next level creation. How that would go in a, you know, that's how it rolls, right? That's how it rolls. You create, you come into union, you create on the next level, and you come into a higher level of union, and then you create on that higher level, and you come into a higher level of union. It's about how that moves you forward. So this is not something that you have been walking a path alone, and you have been creating something alone. But for the next step or the next level of the experience, you come into union in order to fully realize the creation, if that makes sense. So I'm going to leave you guys there, sending you so much love and light, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.